House to now adjourn, and I'm calling the honourable member for Wakefield by the look of things. Member for Wakefield has the call.
Well, thank you, Deputy Speaker, and I rise to just report to the House about submarines. And of course, the other night on Four Corners, very interesting program, had a lot to do with the leadership of the government and the nation and the various contenders in all of that. But one of the things it did talk about, halfway through the program it said, Four Corners had been told by sources intimately involved with the project, this is talking about submarines, that the government's top-secret National Security Committee, which included key ministers led by the PM, debated future submarines in October last year. No final decisions were made in favour of Japan, but sources close to discussions told Four Corners the meeting did support options for the bulk of the submarines construction to go overseas and for only limited work to go to the Australian Submarines Corporation. Now, that's a very serious issue indeed for my state, but of course we know today on page 3 of The Australian, under a headline, "Sir Les, eat your heart out, PM adds Swedes to his Irish stew of international offence." Very topical headline, I suppose, and one that tells the nation a bit about the quality of the Prime Minister. But the Diplomat did a far more serious article where it said Australia's botched sub-bidding process upset Sweden. And what it refers to is back in February, in Question Time, the Prime Minister Tony Abbott ridiculed Saab Group's wish to bid for that contract and said the last Australian submarine came off the production line in about 2001 and the last Swedish submarine came off the production line in 1996, so it's almost 2 decades since Sweden built a submarine. And he then accused the opposition of wanting to build a 1960 submarine. Well, we know now, because of a letter from Lena Eriksson, the Director General of the Swedish Defence Materiel Organisation, that this is of course not the case. And in the letter, here it is for the House to have a look at, Ms Eriksson talks about the fact that Sweden has been very active in the building of submarines, including building 3 new Swedish Gotland-class submarines in between 1996 and 1997, 4 Challenger-class submarines for Singapore between 1998 and 2004, 2 Sondermalm-class submarines for Sweden between 1997 and 2003, and another 2 Archer-class submarines for Singapore between 2006 and 2013. Now, one of these subs, the Gotland class, is called Sweden's Little Carrier Killer. So it indicates that this is a very capable submarine built at the time, and there's been numerous articles about this, the Swedish submarines, and of course they had an intimate involvement with the Collins-class submarine. But interestingly enough, in terms of the Japanese submarine, it actually uses propulsion systems that are Swedish designed, and they have licensed Kawasaki Industries to build them in Japan. So this is Swedish technology in a Japanese sub. You might wonder why the Prime Minister is so enamoured by Japanese-built submarines, and I think we do have to take into account the record of defence exports. Sweden quite clearly has a very sophisticated record of exporting submarines, including to our region. Japan has no record at all of exporting defence exports. It hasn't done any defence exports since 1976, when the then Japanese government outlawed it. Prior to that, there were very, very limited exports from Japan, little more than sidearms. So there is no record of defence exports from Japan. And Article 9 of the Japanese Constitution severely curtails any exports that can be done by the government. It takes a 2/3 majority of the Japanese Parliament to change that. What's more, there's a very, very strong pacifist constituency in Japan, for good reason, given the experiences during the war. So we need to be very clear about the facts of this case, the facts of the people bidding for the submarines, the companies bidding and the nations bidding for the submarine work. We can't afford a Prime Minister who is not dealing with facts, either in this House or when he's undertaking these bid processes. We need a process that values a proper defence procurement process and gets the right capability for Australia based on the